is Tuesday. It's June 18th, and this is WGTV Today. I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Bess. Good Tuesday morning.
Hope you're doing well today. It is a big day today for commissioners. It's the day of their commissioners meeting that begins at 8 o'clock this morning with a briefing. And then, of course, the commissioners meeting itself begins at 9 a.m. and everybody's invited to attend. The public is invited. It's on the 4th floor of the Wayne County Courthouse. If you can't make it here, you can hear it live on streaming on our website, WENEGov.com. You go to WENEGov.com and click on the link, and you can hear the commissioners meeting live right there on your computer. Today, the commissioners are going to have it will be a public hearing concerning the budget. So, if you have an opinion, a statement you'd like to make, talk to commissioners. You'll have a few minutes. You can talk to commissioners this morning during the county commissioners meeting, which the meeting itself begins at 9 a.m. So you're invited to attend. And if you can't be here, join us online.
That's right. Of course, City Council met last night. We will have that video on YouTube today. We'll also be posting it on Facebook, and of course, it'll be running right here on WGTV.
All right.
Let's see who's on today's show.
Who's on today's show?
I believe we have today the interview about ham radio, learning all about ham radio, what it is and where it is.
This is great. Pete WENE is going to be with us. He's going to tell us about the event coming up Saturday out at Greenwood Middle School. It's a big field day for the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association. This is a great organization if you're into ham radio, if you ever wanted to know about ham radio, or just in communication in general. They're going to be set up with demonstrations and everything. That's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday at Greenwood Middle School. And today you're going to hear about it from Pete WENE, also about what ham radio is and how it works, and we're going to get into all that a little later on.
We also are going to hear from Dr. David Atkins. You're going to hear details about the Colors for Cures run that happened not long ago. Cure for Colors, isn't it? I said it backwards. Cure for, it's okay.
Yeah, and David couldn't be here, but James, his brother, is going to be here.
Yes, he is.
Dr. James Atkins, good
right.
job, is going to be with us today. We're going to be talking about Cures for the Colors and the results of that event that happened recently. And it's a tremendous help for families and victims of cancer in the Wayne County area, and in fact in eastern North Carolina. Where you hear about this, it'll touch you. It's a great story.
Then we also have Senior Day in the Park. This was recently at Herman Park Center. We had all the seniors, and they had a full day of activities, and all that'll be shown on today's show. So stay with us. We've got a good lineup.
That is a good lineup. It's a great show today.
Mm-hmm.
So join us tomorrow. We'll have a nice day. Goodbye.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Have you got a trivia question for us?
Yes! Yes! I do. I think I do. Yes, I do.
Excuse him. He's having some issues this morning.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, I know where it is.
Okay.
No, I don't. No, here it is. Here it is. The category of today's trivia question is the full moon.
Okay.
That's the category. Here you go. A little background. Full moon names. The naming of full moons dates back to Native Americans of what is now the northern and eastern U.S. Those tribes kept track of the seasons by giving distinctive names to each recurring full moon.
Okay.
Okay? Their names were applied to the entire month in which each occurred. In other words, say February was when there was a full moon, it was a snow moon. So the entire month of February was a snow moon month. March was the worm moon.
Interesting.
April, the pink moon month. October is a hunter's moon or a full harvest moon. Anyway, you get the idea.
Exactly.
Each month had its own name, and it was named for the time, whatever the full moon was at that time. June, which we are in at the moment,
That's right.
was named for an edible.
An edible?
Something you can eat.
Okay. That's all you're going to tell us?
That's all I'm going to tell you. And you have to think back now, this is Native Americans,
Right.
which means it was probably before the microwave. So popcorn is out.
No, the corn would be a good one.
Corn would be good, but that's not
Yes.
it.
Okay.
Okay?
All
That's
right.
a good answer, though. Maize or corn would be good, but that's not it.
Okay, well, we'll think on it.
All right, think on that. The month of June is a what month? It's a food, or kind of. That is a food. It's an edible. It's an edible. No, kind of. No
See
kind of.
there, he's giving us a little hint in there. Everybody pay attention to that.
Well, no, that could be misleading.
Okay.
That could be misleading, so wipe that out of your mind. It's easy for me to do. I do it all the time.
Well, Wayne, for 50s and older, we have quite a few events coming up. How about this? We have over at the senior center,
Yeah.
if you're 50 and older, we have line dancing.
Oh, boy.
That's every Friday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. They're
Really?
also going to offer it at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays
Oh, boy.
at the Peggy Seeger Center.
Okay.
How about that? And over at Herman Park for 50s and older, they have line dancing and fitness. Wow.
Wow.
It's good. Anybody 50 years and older, beginners start at 10 a.m. on Fridays, intermediates at 6 p.m. on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And you can find out more information if you call 739-7486 at the Peggy Seeger Senior Center. Boy, that's difficult to say all in
That is
in
tough.
one
That
sentence.
is tough, yeah. Okay, now you mentioned intermediates.
Yes, that means if you have a little more experience in line dancing,
Oh.
you meet at a different time. You go to at 6 p.m.
Oh,
You're at 10 a.m. in the morning for beginners.
Oh.
6 p.m.
Oh, I
if
got
you've
it.
got a little experience
Oh,
in line
okay.
dancing.
All right.
Yeah. Then they've also going to offer canasta. If you're 50,
Canasta.
that's right. If you're 50 and older, at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays at the senior house
Canasta.
at Herman Park Center. That's right. They have games at both places, all kinds of events for 50s and older. Our seniors are very busy in this community.
They
And
are
have
very
many
busy.
opportunities.
Many opportunities. And you know, this is great because most of them, almost all of them are free.
Exactly.
Almost all of them are free. And this is great because, of course, most people over 60 are on a fixed income of some
Right.
sort. And otherwise, things like this would not be available to people over 60. They couldn't afford it. So a lot of these things are free to the seniors because of being on a fixed income or for whatever reason. Or opportunity to get to these places because the bus,
That's
the
right.
Gateway bus travels to the senior center and to the senior house at Herman Park Center.
Mhm.
So it's a good thing, and the seniors do have ample opportunity to take advantage of a lot of things being offered to them.
That's exactly right.
Right,
And both
yeah.
places keep them very busy. The senior
Right.
house over at Herman Park Center, and then of course the senior center
Yeah.
right there on Ash Street.
Two great locations.
Oh
That-
yes.
and
they work hand in hand.
They do work together, and they're each offers different things at different times.
And it's a different environment.
It isn't. It is different. It's entirely different, and I like both places.
And I think most of the seniors do.
Yeah.
And they go back and forth.
Yes, indeed. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Very much, I think, yeah.
Well, Fremont is having Fremont Friends of the Library's movie night. Is
Oh, boy.
June 21st, so that's this week. If you want to find out they're not saying what movie it is, but if you want to find out what movie, you can call 735-1824 for Fremont Friends of the Library's movie night.
It's a secret.
It is a secret.
Yeah, it is a secret. They're not telling you.
No, they don't.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. It's a movie. Okay, and the aquarium comes to the Wayne County Public Libraries. Steel Memorial Library, July 5th at 10:30 in the morning. The Pikeville Library, July 5th at 2 p.m. And the Goldsboro Library at 4 p.m. on July 5th. You can visit the library for an interactive look at soils, underground dwelling animals, and ways to make your own compost to improve your soil. Now, this is the aquarium, Roanoke Aquarium. Hanging Around Underground is the name of the exhibit. Program is absolutely free. Tickets are required, however.
What do they bring with them in this aquarium?
What does it bring?
It's a traveling
The
aquarium.
Oh, yeah, yes, it is traveling. Well, I mean,
And what are we talking about
what do
here?
they bring? Okay, they being the aquarium people. They're aquarium people. They have fins and everything. They're bringing stuff. They bring
Aquarium stuff, of course they do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, they bring aquarium stuff. It is a trick question, and if you really want to know, it's a secret, and you
Just
have to
show
go
up.
find out.
All right, it's time
All
to
right.
head on, I believe,
Thank goodness.
to our interview, so stay tuned. Here we go. We've got 3 good ones.
Our guest in the studio this morning is Dr. James Atkins of Southeastern Cancer Center, right?
Right, yes. The Southeastern Cancer Care is the organization that we've set forth to raise funds for cancer patients in eastern North Carolina. And we had our big event about a month or so ago now, the Ultra Marathon, the 100-mile event.
Right.
And it was quite a success. We were very pleased. They actually raised $62,000 to help people in eastern North Carolina. the funds obviously stays all here and help folks in Eastern North Carolina. It was a great event. We actually had 10 people who tried to do the whole 100 miles by themselves, and 5 people succeeded. 1 girl from Ireland, 1 from Florida, 1 guy from Alabama, and then I think 2 from North Carolina completed it.
Wow.
And then we had the teams, and we had wonderful participation. We had, if I remember correctly, somewhere around 700 or 800 people total who had registered this year for the event. So it was a wonderful event. It was a great time. And they raised a lot of funds to help folks in Eastern North Carolina.
This is wonderful. And this was the Cures for the Colors that took place just a few weeks back.
Right, and it was excellent. And so the event was wonderful. We're looking forward to next year as well. The funds, actually 75, last year between January 1st and December 31st, $107,000 had been dispersed to patients.
Wow.
75% of that ended up going for gas cards and food cards, because when people are going through chemotherapy and going through treatment, the biggest thing they need is gas to be able to get to the doctor's office and food on the table. And so the money that's raised really just goes to help the patients. It doesn't pay their doctor bills. It doesn't pay chemotherapy or anything of that sort. What it does is it's there to help them as they go through this journey, because there's a lot of things that are out there that are messing people up, and the economy is one of them. It just makes it very difficult for folks. So this has been a very good thing that we've done to help folks. There's a lot of other organizations that raise funds for cancer patients, and we've backed away from a number of them. And Susan Komen's foundation recently has gotten a lot of press because their CEO is making over $600,000 a year. And a couple of years ago, the American Cancer Society's CEO got a little bit of press because his salary was $800,000 and his bonus was $200,000, which made his total salary package that year $1 million. And so some of these organizations have gotten a little flack for excessive salaries to some of their CEOs. Yeah. And the good thing here is there are no salaries for employees. Everybody who works, who helps the Southeastern Cancer Care does it as a volunteer. From the board of directors, where we have a banker, an attorney, a CPA, some people from the gym. We have a number of different people on the board of directors, to the people who run the event. Brian, who was the chairman of who ran the event, he does events for a living, but he did ours for free, just to help us to organize the event and try to do a better job this year.
So how much of the money that is raised by Cures for the Colors goes to administrative costs, and how much is actually used for the patients?
Yeah, the amount that goes to administrative costs is $0.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I mean, when people register, they register, say, for the event. There's like a $30 registration fee, and it's true that some of that goes to buy the T-shirt that they get and buy the things that go in their little packets. There's usually about $5 or $6 out of that goes to that. But I look at that as being part of what they get for registering. But of the profit from that perspective, it's all, there is no overhead. We recently had a barbecue plate sale, and what happened is, because these help our patients, so our office bought the pigs, and the volunteers cooked the pigs and took care of getting out the plates and selling the tickets and distributing that, and so all of the funds that were raised, went directly to it. They recently had a trail ride, which is something I've never done, but apparently the first year they had like 40 people do the trail ride, and apparently they go out in the morning with their horses and they come back in the afternoon, and this year they had something like 100 horses going out. I mean, it was huge. I mean, just phenomenal.
That's great.
Yeah, and last year we had a golf tournament in the fall, and I suspect we'll probably have another one this year.
That's wonderful. Well, Dr. Atkins, there are several organizations around the country who raise funds for cancer research.
Right.
Those organizations, many of them, as you mentioned, a couple of them do have CEOs, and there seems to be a large amount of money going to administrative costs. It's amazing to me that you are actually able to do this through the volunteers, with all of the money going to the patients. To the patients.
Right, but that's why we stepped back from the other organizations, because we really needed they really weren't providing what we needed for our folks in Eastern North Carolina. And so this event is growing. They're actually getting ready to have a 5K down in Jacksonville, Cures for the Colors event in Jacksonville, where we have one of our offices. And so, you know, it's going to hopefully be something for Eastern North Carolina in general to help folks who live here, because charity starts at home.
Yeah. And you mentioned the use of the money. It actually goes to food and to gas cards, and people have to get to the doctor.
Right. Yeah, I know. 75% goes for that. Some goes for electricity. Some goes for rent. We have, the board of directors has set up guidelines. For example, if you're renting your place from your parents, guess what? You don't get any money for rent. Okay, your parents have got to suck it up.
Well,
okay,
that's the way it is.
That's right. But we can help with other things in that setting, like food and gas. But so the board of directors has a good guidelines set up to help people who need help. And so I think that they have a good system in place, and I think it's been very helpful for our folks. But it goes to help them. And I had a gentleman recently in Clinton who came in. He was 23. He had a mass in his neck. He had noticed it for about a year. It had been gradually getting bigger. He had just moved down from Wisconsin. He was living by himself. He did have a sister in Jacksonville who was in the military. And it turned out he had Hodgkin's disease. So his cure rate is 98%. I mean, very good cure rate. Yeah. And I said, well, we're going to need to, you know, get you set up and get your treatment. Obviously, he had no insurance. We were going to get him to come up to Goldsboro to get his treatment at the hospital because that's where we would have to do it. And he said, well, you know, I can't get there. He said, I can't get from Clinton to Goldsboro. I just can't do it.
He knew there was a cure, that he was going to, most likely, there was a chance he would be fine.
Right, but he couldn't get there.
He couldn't get to the hospital.
No. And so what he needed was a gas card so his friends could drive him up here and so he could get his treatment. And what he actually ended up doing, actually when we had our event, one person came up and volunteered. He said, look, I'll go to Clinton every day and pick him up if that's what it needs.
Oh my.
I mean, oh yeah.
That's wonderful.
Oh, it is.
That's wonderful.
And so sometimes to cure cancer you need more research, but sometimes to cure cancer you need a gas card. Yeah. You know, I had another guy in Clinton who lived 18 miles from the place. He came to see me. He didn't need to see me. He had head and neck cancer. He needed radiation, the guy next door. And so he said, this time he said, I got a car, but I can't get there. It was 18 miles. So it's a gallon each way, and assuming he gets 20 miles to the gallon, and that's $8 a day, 5 days a week, 6 weeks. He didn't have the money. And we don't cross our minds, but these are the real realities of where we're at. And the recession's not over. I mean, we're still in it, and it's still affecting people very significantly.
And the way it's going, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better for a while.
Not for a little while.
Not for a while, yeah.
We still have a little journey ahead of us.
Yes, we do. So with people who have cancer, people who, or families who, and this is something that affects the entire family.
Oh yes, it does. So most definitely. Cancer does not just affect an individual; it affects the whole family and disrupts the whole family. But the good thing is that there are ways to help, and the people in Eastern North Carolina have been very generous in helping, so that we can help patients in more than just using drugs. Now, obviously, we're very committed to research, and we've been recognized many times by the NCI and by major organizations for our commitment to research. And so there's no question that we're going to continue with our commitment to research.
Does that include clinical trials?
Yeah, basically research is the clinical trials.
Okay.
And so, yes, and we have like 100 and some odd clinical trials open right now for people with different cancers. But there's more to it than just doing the research. You've also got to make sure that they can get to your office, that they can go wherever they need to go, even if it's not our office. For example, if they were to travel to Duke or Chapel Hill, that's a whole tank of gas.
Yes.
It's not a gallon each way. It's a whole tank. And so these things are real issues for people.
So how does someone qualify, or how does someone make contact?
Well, they can make contact through our office. They can call and talk with the patient advocate who takes care of people, and because they don't have to be seeing us to get access to these funds. They just have to have cancer. They have to either be undergoing surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy, or having done so within the last year. And and it's based on income, not on assets. So I mean, if and it's based on the amount that they can get. Actually, is based on percentage related to poverty levels. So
I see.
So there's a formula that they have set up. So and the maximum I think people are able to get right now is $750, but $750 is still $750 that can buy a lot of food and put some gas in your car.
Yes, indeed.
So they can do it through the patient advocates in our office is the way they can do it, just by calling the office.
All right, now they call the Southeastern Medical Oncology, and I'm not going to mention the name of your practice, Southeastern Medical Oncology.
Right. Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting you said that they do not have to be a patient there.
No, they do not. No, they just have to be a patient who lives east of I-95
Right.
or in the counties that I-95 traverses. So,
All right.
so it's only for Eastern North Carolina, because a lot of the other counties have other things like Susan Komen and like the Red Door and
Right.
other things. And Eastern North Carolina, for some reason, does not seem to have access to some of those funds. And so this is to help the folks in Eastern North Carolina.
Which begs the question, I ask, is there any truth to the rumor, to the story, to the idea that for some reason cancer affects more people in Eastern North Carolina than other parts of the state? Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. But
Okay.
do I think it's true? And the answer is not really.
Yeah.
1 out of 3 people will develop cancer during their lifetime.
One out of 3?
Yeah, 1 out of 3.
Wow.
And part of that is because we've done such a good job with heart disease that people aren't dying of heart attacks and strokes and things quite as much. And so if you live long enough, something's going to take you home.
Something will happen.
Yeah. And so, in the year 1900, there was very little cancer, but then the average lifespan was only 49 years.
Okay.
And here we are 100 years later, and the average lifespan is 76, 77, 78 years. So we've almost doubled the lifespan in a little over 100 years. And so if you're not dying of gunshot wounds and heart attacks and strokes, then something eventually is still going to take you home.
Okay.
So we're all going to have homecoming. But so the big thing is, yes, it does affect a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And yeah, people will look down their street and they'll say, this person's had cancer, that one's had cancer, this one's had cancer. And so yes, they see a lot of people in their neighborhoods who've had it, but it's really just because we're living longer.
Yeah, so if anyone who has cancer or has a member of their family who has cancer can call your office at 580-0000.
That's right. Or they can call the office, if they live in Wilson, they can call the Wilson office, or Jacksonville, they can call the Jacksonville office, or Clinton and call the Clinton office. So
okay.
Wherever they happen to be. But yeah, or they can call the 1-800, the 580-0000 number, and they can be transferred to whichever office they need to be transferred.
And one more quick question: the run in Jacksonville. Do you have the dates on that?
No, I don't. I know they're working on it. It's going to be in the fall. I think it's going to be in October.
Okay.
But it'll be a 5K, and they're setting it up right now and getting. I mean, I think things are coming along great. So, and we also have things like people buy some of the hats, Cures for the Colors, with all the different little ribbons on the top. And this was one of the shirts that they were selling, Running for Hope, 1 mile at a time.
1 mile at a time. Now, if someone wanted to, and these are for sale at the
office, yeah.
At the office, and if someone wanted to make perhaps a donation.
Yeah, they can do that either online at southeasterncancercare.org. There's a PayPal website thing where they can make donations, or they can send it to the office to Southeastern Cancer Care, or some people write it for Cures for the Colors. Either way works. It just can't be made to our office because it's not for us.
It's not for the office.
It's got to be to Southeastern Cancer Care or Cures for the Colors.
All right, southeasterncancercare.org, 580-0000 in the 919 area code. And our guest today has been Dr. James Atkins. Our guest today in the studio, returning for a second visit, Mr. Peter WENE. Peter, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me back.
Pete is with the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association, and earlier in the week we talked briefly about what ham radio is. It's a communication. It's not broadcasting as opposed to commercial radio or non-commercial radio. This is broadcasting to an individual, two people discussing and talking to each other. That's ham radio in a nutshell. It's simply stated. But go into a little more detail about that. What's involved with the equipment? Who is your basic or average ham radio operator, Pete?
Well, there's no such thing as an average ham radio. Like we said earlier in the week, King Hussein of Jordan was an amateur operator. Ronnie Millsap. There's an awful lot of celebrities across the United States and overseas that are ham radio operators. It's a fraternity of individuals that like to either talk or work on electronic equipment. It's the hobby, it's a passion, it's a pastime for individuals. Like I said, there's 700,000 licensed amateurs in the United States. And originally the FCC promoted amateur radio as an emergency service, is a pool of individuals that they could call on in case of emergencies. The very first communications out of New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina was
Right.
via amateur radio.
Right.
That was the first contact. And more recently, the marathon, the Boston Marathon bombing, they used amateur operators to coordinate the entire event, and thus they were the first ones to be on the scene and provide emergency coordination to some of the first responders.
It's not only a hobby, it's part of Americana. Ham radio operators have been so important in being able to help during disasters. At times when there was no other communication,
Absolutely.
there was the ham radio operator helping to guide authorities and to help save lives. In fact, it's been a very important part of the history of America.
Yes, sir.
In fact, even though ham radio operators have only, well, radios haven't been around for what, 100 years, I guess, but about 100 years, give or take. But a very important part of the American scene.
Yeah, the Titanic actually had an amateur radio station, a radio station. Back then it was just a radio station.
Yeah.
There really wasn't a distinction between amateurs or not. And they did broadcast a signal called CQ, which is calling all stations,
Right.
and D for disaster. They did not establish SOS back then. So they did actually broadcast to another, the Carpathia,
Right.
picked it up and steamed towards them.
Yeah. Carpathia didn't get there in time, though.
Didn't get there in time. The California didn't have a radio,
Right.
and it was very close, and
close.
it steamed on. It saw the rockets, but it just chose to continue on its way. So
Well,
amateur
they thought it
radio
was just
does,
fireworks. You
yes,
know,
does provide a great service.
Yeah, it does. In fact, that was 1912, so we're over 100 years now.
Yes, sir.
Well over 100 years. So, but it does provide a great service. And the thing is about radio, is the ham radio, is that once people get into it, it's like golf.
Yes, sir.
It just sucks you right in.
Yes.
It just takes over.
Yeah. Currently, the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association was established back in 1948.
Wow, so it's been around 65 years.
It's been in the county for a very long time, and
Yeah.
of course they've had their ups and downs as far as the club goes. Currently, we are looking at a high of about 48 members, and they come from all walks of life within the communities. We have plumbers, we have firemen, we have people
Radio
from the
announcers.
radio announcers,
Webster James.
yeah, etc. Good plug, Webster. We have people from the base. We have military that come and go, and they
Right.
join the club. We have a lot of retired folks. So we're from all walks of life. And amateur radio isn't just broadcasting back and forth. We have satellite communications. We have digital communications. We have it's called radio RTTY, which is radio teletype.
Right.
So you get on. It used to be an old clunker teletype.
Yeah, the
You-
old
you hooked
TTY,
your-
yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
hook to your radio.
Sure.
Now it's all computer driven. We have computer driven radios.
Wow.
So it's very modern. And then again, we have people that run 75-year-old vintage equipment today.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and they love it too. They spend their time tweaking and tuning and polishing it. Some of the equipment, 75 years old, looks as good as the day it rolled off the factory floor.
You know, you're so right. Some people are collectors of old cars, and they take them and rebuild them. Jay Leno is one who rebuilds old cars
sir.
into new condition. Some people collect weapons, and some people collect old TVs and old radios. And speaking of radios, there's a lot of people that do collect old ham radio equipment
Absolutely.
and keep them all fixed up and shiny and everything.
We have a club member that has joined us from Raleigh, and he has a lot of what they call homebrew, homemade equipment, and a lot of older equipment that he just enjoys bringing out
yeah.
on field day, which then brings me to field day. Once a year, the ARRL, the American Radio Relay League, in conjunction with the Canadian Radio Relay, holds a one-day, 24-hour event where all the amateurs go out into the field and operate under what they call field conditions. No electricity, no shelter, no antennas. We bring in generators, we erect tents, we put in our radios, we put up our antennas, and we operate for 24 hours. This year, it'll be on the 23rd, Saturday the 22nd and the 23rd of June.
Oh,
We are going to be down at Greenwood Middle School in that little wooded area out there.
off East Ash Street.
Yeah, off of East Ash Street.
Okay, here
And
in
we will be
Goldsboro.
operating there for 24 hours. We'll have a sign up front, the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association. So we invite everyone to come out and join us, see what amateur radio is about. If you were a previous ham, let's get you involved, and we'll talk about getting you licensed.
That's right. And if you don't know what a ham is, you just heard about it. It's about communication.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you can talk to someone down the street, and at the same time you turn right around and you throw a call out, and then there's a call from Saudi Arabia or from Peru or from, in fact, I've talked to somebody in Bolivia a couple of times.
Correct.
And when I was in Bolivia, I talked to somebody back here.
This past weekend, we went down to the Battleship, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And the Azalea Amateur Radio Club
Yes.
maintains the equipment on board. They actually have some of the old 1940s transmitters and receivers.
On the North Carolina?
On the North Carolina.
Really?
That they can operate.
Oh, man.
They do bring in modern transceivers, and they hook it to the original feed line antenna, which was put in the ship in 1939, to the original vertical antenna. And we operated there last week, which was Museum Ships Weekend, where all the ships broadcast amateur radio to the public. And we made, a friend of mine, Albert Leone, N4ZFG, and I made 300 contacts in 3 hours.
Really?
Absolutely. It was
That's
great
amazing.
fun.
That's
great
amazing.
fun. We talked to everybody from Alaska to Florida, Texas to Maine.
Man, that is great. Pete, again, give me the dates on this out at Greenwood School, because if anyone is interested in ham radio, finding out about it, or perhaps you are a ham radio operator and you want to get more information about the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association, where is this going to be again?
Greenwood Middle School, the wooded area right in front of the school off of East Ash Street.
Right.
And the date is Saturday. We'll start operating at 2 o'clock, but we'll start setting up early on Saturday the 22nd, and we tear down the morning of the 23rd Sunday.
All right, Pete Wayne, and you are...
My call sign?
Yes.
My call sign is WA5T.
WA5T has been our guest today. We appreciate your being with us. Thank you, Pete
Thank
Wayne.
you so much, sir,
I
and hope to
appreciate
see everybody out there.
There you go.
Food, fun, fellowship, games, music. It's all about having a good time. Oh yeah, give yourselves a round of applause out there. Now, I tell you what. You gotta know it. It's electric. Woogie, woogie, woogie. Then you can't hold it. It's electric. Woogie, woogie, woogie. But you know it's there. Here, there, and everywhere. And to me, I'm going on a party ride. This music I just can't hide.
Okay, love Senior Day. That was fun. That was fun. And of course, Dr. Dr. Atkins, with all his great information about the Cures for the Colors and the money they raise and how that money is used, that is so important. He made such a good point in that people just cannot afford to get to the doctor. They need help. They can't buy gas. A lot of them can't. They don't have food. They can't buy food. And this Cures for the Colors has raised a sufficient amount of money. Of course, they always need help. And if you would like to donate, you don't have to wait for an event like that.
Right.
You can donate to the Cures for the Colors by calling 580-0000 Southeastern Cancer Care. And tell them you want to make a donation. People need your help.
That's nice.
That's
nice. And it's nice that he continues to be a part of that. He continues to lead the effort to try to cure cancer and to make it as comfortable as people that are suffering through that as he can.
That's so true. You know, cancer affects so many people. I know of no one who has not been affected.
Every family.
Every family has been affected one way or the other, directly or indirectly, by cancer. And it's really something when you're sitting in that doctor's office and you hear the word cancer.
That C word.
You don't hear anything after that.
No, you don't.
Hear anything after that. And I know Dr. Atkins encourages his patients to bring a tape recorder with them.
Oh, well, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Because you are so caught up in the moment, and you heard that C word, and you just don't pay attention to what type of cancer it is or any treatment offers. It's all that C word, and everything stops there.
That's right.
At least for that initial visit.
All right, and I don't want to trivialize this in any way, but the movie, John Wayne movie, I believe it was The Cowboys. No, it wasn't The Cowboys. Anyway, it was one of his last movies that he starred in, and he had already been diagnosed with cancer, and he played a gunfighter who was aging and had the doctor had declared that this gunfighter was dying of cancer. And John Wayne playing that part, it was a very moving part, and it's one of the few movies in which he was actually killed. But where he died, his character died. But the dialogue in that particular movie was very touching because you could tell that it hit home for him.
Yeah.
It really did. I don't recall the name of the movie. Don't call. I'll remember it, but it'll come to me. But it's one of my favorite John Wayne movies. Anyway, speaking of guns.
Yes.
I gotta tell you.
I know this is a pretty interesting story.
Story out of the western part of the country here. My grandmother, 72-year-old lady, 72 years of age, she took control of a scary situation when she was confronted by someone trying to break into her Orange County, California home, a home she shares with her World War II veteran husband. The guy was trying to break in. He was a burglar. He hopped a fence late Saturday. He prowled through the backyard. He broke into the Cooper's Stanton, California home in the middle of the night. Not even a barking Rottweiler or anything scared off this intruder.
Oh my goodness.
Barking Rottweiler.
I mean, who wouldn't stop for a Rottweiler?
Yes.
And go the other way.
You go the other way, you would think, well, no, not this guy. But Granny, Jan Cooper, her name, she called 911 just before she grabbed her husband's .357 Magnum. She was on the phone with the dispatcher when the intruder made it into her yard. She yelled, and I can't say exactly what she yelled, but she told him to back up and call him a name. Back up, get out of here, get the out of here, get your butt out now, she said. She fired a shot. She's 72 years old now. She missed the intruder just a few inches. She says, after I shot, there was rage that took hold, she said. My husband, he'd never heard me talk like that before, she said. A fellow by the name of Brandon Perez, he's 31 years old. He was arrested in connection with the intrusion.
So they did get him.
They got the guy. He is currently on probation, already on probation for burglary, so he decided to press his luck, and he lost. Already on probation. At one point, during her 911 call, she seemed to calm down a bit. She seemed to calm down her recently awakened husband, who says his wife's protective behavior did not surprise him at all. He said, I know her capabilities, I know what she can do, and if she has to, she's quite capable, he said. His name is Bob Cooper. He's 85.
My goodness.
He's an Army veteran and decorated intelligence officer. She's been shooting guns ever since she was a teenager. She said that she would not change her response if someone tried to break into her house again.
So her comfort level was she had been shooting guns all her life.
She knew what she was doing.
Exactly.
And see, here,
And that's the fear for most people, most women, is they're uncomfortable and afraid of the gun because they haven't shot it before or many times.
that's right. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind here. Personally, I am a gun advocate. I believe in the Second Amendment, and I am a gun advocate. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But
Yes.
I do believe, as you said, if you're trained properly, and I mean this starts at a very early age.
Right.
If you train someone from a very early age on, they are not scared of the weapons, they're not scared
they're
of guns.
also careful.
And they're careful, and they know what they're doing with them. And it's the bad guys you need to be worried about. These are people who don't care whether they have a permit or not.
Right.
In fact, they're people who would not want a permit because then they can be traced. The safest people out there are the people who have and have been trained, who have gun permits, carry permits, and have been trained as such. That is all my personal opinion. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. That's it.
With that said, we're going to talk about outdoor pools.
Oh boy!
Goldsboro Parks and Recreation is offering the opportunity for anyone who is interested in visiting a pool and enjoying a day at the pool. We have both Mina Wheel Pool and Peacock Pool, both in the city limits. They are operated by the Goldsboro Family Y. They opened way back on Memorial Day. They'll be open until Labor Day. If you are interested in having a daily pass or a summer pass for either one of those, you can call Goldsboro Parks and Recreation or the Goldsboro Family Y, and you can get passes to go on a daily basis or for the entire summer. If you are a Family Y member, you can go to both of those pools free of charge just by showing your membership card.
Wow!
That's exactly right.
Wow.
The phone number is 919-739-7480, and that's at Goldsboro Parks and Recreation.
All right.
Yep.
Outstanding. Birthdays for
Yes.
today. We have one of everyone's favorites, Blake Shelton.
Yes, most people know and love Blake,
He's on that TV show,
the voice.
The Voice. That's it. He's on that show, but he was an extremely popular country singer
And
prior to
still
that.
is.
And still is.
But that really has made his awareness even more to the forefront for
Yeah.
those people maybe that are not country music fans.
Yes, and even if you're not a country music fan,
He is funny.
He's very funny, but I'll never forget, he and Michael Bublé did a beautiful duet together when they sang Home, one of Shelton's songs. And he and Bublé did extremely well together.
Two very different types of singers.
Very different types of singers, but Bublé is so talented, and
He
of course so
certainly
is
is.
Shelton. You get
Yes.
those two guys together. Number one, they're extremely funny together, both of them.
I can imagine.
But Blake Shelton's 36 today. Nathan Morris was one of the Boys to Men, and he is 41 today. Can you believe that? Boys to Men?
I'm telling you, and they were
41.
so popular when they were like young teenagers.
Yes.
I remember that. Oh, yes.
All right, a lady by the name of Elena De La Garza. You may know her from the TV show Law and Order. She played Connie Rubirosa on TV. Carol Kane's having a birthday. Oh, she is 36. Carol Kane's having a birthday. She is 60 today. She played Lotka's wife,
On.
Taxi.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Carol Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Lotka's wife, Lotka Gravis. Carol Kane, 60 today. Lou Brock, the Hall of Fame inductee and base stealing legend, whose number 20 jersey was retired by the St. Louis Cardinals. Lou Brock, 73 years today. Richard Boone, one of my favorite actors as well, having a birthday. Well, of course, he passed away some years ago, but he was just an amazing actor. And an answer to our trivia question for today.
Yes.
What was the question? June is known
Or
as,
which moon?
the moon is the strawberry moon.
Really?
Yes,
Strawberry moon.
Strawberry
Why
moon.
is that? Do you know?
I,
Don't know.
it'll be coming up soon.
Okay.
All right, wait for the full moon and, yeah, there's a reason for it, but
I'm
we're out of
sure.
time.
I know, we are. But thank you for watching. This has been a great Tuesday, and we've had a good lineup today. So we appreciate you being with us.
And if you missed anything, you can join us at 12 o'clock and then again at 5:30 and then again later in the evening.
Yes, you can.
Also on YouTube, you can join us as well. So we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best, and this is what's happening in your community.